morning and good evening to everyone joining us virtually today. And welcome to this extremely important leadership webinar, which is themed Attracting and Retaining Top Talents. So in today's discussion, we are going to see what HR managers look out for while recruiting for a company. And this webinar is organized by the Women in Finance and Investment Network, well, WIFIN for short. And my name is Dikshita, and I will be your moderator for today's webinar to ensure that we have an interactive discussion, today. So before we continue, I would just say, let us kindly wait for a few minutes, to kind of allow most of our participants to join us today. For those unable to join us, please take note that this webinar will be made available on the WIFIN's website. And also to our audience of today, you can always check it out there for further reference. So let us just wait for a few minutes and we shall resume this webinar very shortly. Okay, so let us just start. I think we would have more of our participants joining us eventually. So once again, everyone, please allow me to extend my greeting to you and welcome to today's discussion on attracting and retaining top talents. We are looking at what HR managers look out for while recruiting. We're excited to have you here with us, and as introduced earlier, I am Dikshita and shall be your moderator for this webinar, organized by the Women in Finance and Investment Network, WIFIN for short, along with our partners, the Chartered Global Investment Analyst, the CGI Institute, the Institute of Certified Chartered Economists, ICCE, Westline Co., FI Sense, and the Economy 360, along with Expand Human Resources. Now, before we begin our conversation on talent recruitment, please allow me to give you a brief breakdown of today's session. We are going to first start with me giving you an introduction, more like a presentation on Women in Finance and Investment Network, especially for those who are new to WIFIN. I shall then introduce to you your facilitator for this webinar. The facilitator will take over the discussion of the topic of today, and prior to ending the webinar, we will have a Q&A session. So kindly allow me to share my, my screen with you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for saying hello on our chat box. So please allow me to share my screen. Okay. Perfect. So As you can see on your screen, in our brief on WIFIN, Women in Finance and Investment Network, we shall cover what WIFIN is all about, the membership benefit. The membership benefit involves like who can join the network, etc. Overview, etc., etc. So let me just start. All right. So WIFIN, right, Women in Finance and Investment Network, we are a non-profit membership-based organization which is committed to taking actions to bridge the generational gap in the finance and investment space. Well, it is known globally that there is an underrepresentation of women in the finance and investment and insurance, fintech, and the list just goes on. And at WIFIN, we aim to address this underrepresentation with a global women network in the finance investment space, aiming at empowering women at every stage of their professional career. We strongly believe that with an increased visibility of today's female professionals, it will motivate the next generation of talent to aspire to these roles. And therefore, I believe we would be able to build a strong interconnectivity in the finance ecosystem. So as you can see here, there are some research and that has been done about the current finance and investment industry across the world, right? And WIFIN exists, like I was saying, to give women the opportunity to receive the highest level of professional education, to build credibility, to tap into a global network to pursue a rewarding career in finance and investment management industry. We aim to achieve this through a series of dialogues, networking sessions, webinars today, meetups, summits, etc., along with special programs along with our partners. Well, as you can see here, it's written in bold. Our vision is to accelerate the growth and to raise women leaders in the finance and investment space globally. And our commitment is to empower these women to successfully achieve their professional potential at each and every stage of their careers. Well, WIFIN stands for diversity by building a trusting and open, inclusive environment that treats each member in a manner that reflects our unique way of raising professional women for higher roles in finance and investment. Synergy, as we are committed to connecting women at various levels of leadership in the industry. And lastly, opportunity, because we believe that our collective efforts as an organization will become a catalyst for a transformed finance and investment industry in the future. Here you can see is our global team, a group of dedicated young women in the finance and investment space, believing in creating impact by becoming a complementary voice to amplify and broaden conversations around diversity and inclusion. Of course, very important, membership. So WIFIN membership implies, joining this network, this global network that supports your development and career ambitions as a member. Now, there are several benefits of becoming a WIFIN member. Let's go quickly through that. Okay, so through a global network, members get the opportunity to network with professionals from other global institutions around the world on a single platform. At WIFIN, we're seeking to partner with organizations to create internships and full-time job opportunities for our members to benefit from. In line with our vision and mission, WIFIN, in partnership with our partners, has introduced a merit-based scholarship scheme for its members around the world. The scholarship is offered both in full and partial for our members who wish to enroll in the charter program. Now, more information about this is available on the website. So if you're interested, please do check our website. I would move along with the other benefits. WIFIN also facilitates regular workshops and capacity building programs for our members across all levels to enable them to build career ambitions and develop relevant skills needed to succeed in the industry. We also have well-structured programs, both virtual and physical, to engage our members throughout the year to enhance the professional capacities of members to network at various gatherings, like chapter, regional, and global levels. Also, members also get access to newsletters on current trends happening in the finance and investment and banking industry around the globe. We do regular interviews with successful women in the industry who shares with us their expertise, their insights, their journeys, etc., etc. And all of these are made available to our members. So who can join? Of course, a woman. If you're a university student, a recent graduate, or a woman who has already started her career in the finance and investment space, you are welcome to join us. There is only an annual subscription fee for the various categories mentioned previously, and more information about this is available on the website. We also have room for institutional partners who can join us, those who are champions of diversity and share deeply in our common vision. Again, you will find more information on our website. All right, so how do we join WIFIN? Well, all you have to do is visit our WIFIN website. Everything has been made available at www.wifinglobal.org and fill in the membership application form and follow the steps. Our team will be available to assist you if you face any difficulties in doing so. Well, this is it about the Women in Finance and Investment Network. Thank you very much for giving me this audience and listening as I did this presentation about WIFIN. Now, if you have any questions or if you're interested in joining WIFIN, just use the Q&A button and we would be ready to provide you any assistance that you may need. So I'll just stop sharing my screen. Yes, back to us. Okay, back to our topic of today, themed attracting and retaining top talents, what HR managers look out for. There is no secret that recruiting and retaining talent is critical to an organization's success. After all, an organization is only as strong as the collective talent of the people who work there, and a key part of that is recruiting and retaining great people, which would provide, all necessary needful stuffs to grow in a business. And in this webinar, we will explore how HR managers are recruiting and retaining these top talents. And today, we have amongst us our distinguished speaker, Jessica Joy-Karen, founder and managing director at Expand Human Resource Limited. Jessica, welcome. Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, I'm just going to give a brief about Jessica before we start. Jessica is an Obama and Mandela Washington Fellow, a Yale Business and Entrepreneurship Executive Course graduate, and an experienced HR and employment law professional. She has a solid demonstrated history of working in the human resources and employment law industry in Mauritius and on the African continent, mainly Mauritius, East Africa, and Madagascar for the past 12 years and 9 years as an entrepreneur. She is skilled in employee mediation, HR strategy, HR audit, HR consulting, and employee relations. And she is known in the industry for her strong entrepreneurial skills and employment law specialist while being an HR savvy. Jessica, warm welcome to you, and thank you very much for the opportunity of hosting you on WIFIN's platform.
Thank you. Thank you to all the attendees for taking the time to hear me speak. Thank you for WIFIN to give me the opportunity on this platform, this global platform, I have to say, to share a bit of my experience. Today, I'm going to share both my experience as an HR professional and myself as a candidate when I was applying for jobs back then. And I'm not going to center what I'm going to say on Mauritius only, since I've worked in other countries, so that you can relate to the difficulties, to the challenges, and to the realities of the recruitment assignments overall. And afterwards, I'm going to allow all the candidates to ask any questions. Meanwhile, if you have any comments, you can pop in the chat box.
Definitely. So before Jessica takes over, I would just like to address this to the audience. We will have a Q&A session after Jessica is done with her presentation. So if you have any questions, any queries while you follow the presentation, please do just jot them down or just drop it in the Q&A session, and we will answer them in the Q&A session. So Jessica, the floor is all yours. You may take over.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to add that, as you can see, I'm by the beach in Mauritius. No, actually, it's winter here. It's winter time here. It's really cold. So thanks again for taking the time to join and to hear me out. I'm going to share my screen for the PowerPoint that I've prepared for today. Sure. Here you go. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, it's very clear.
Okay, so which is a good thing that we're not having only HR managers or HR professionals in the audience. We're having a mix of, I can imagine, managers who recruit or recruiters as well. So the aim of this PowerPoint presentation is to approach the topic of attracting and retaining top talents to as far as possible, as far as reality allows. And as you know, since COVID-19 came along, the game has changed. And so many people have lost their jobs, unfortunately, on different markets as well. And this has had a dynamic shock, I can say, to the labor market, which again has had a wave impact on the way we recruit, on how we recruit, and our methods. So attracting talent, what is it about? The ideal way of attracting a talent and hiring someone will be to get the right person at the right position. And it is crucial to support the growth of your business and is vital for your business success. I can say, I know you will say, this is a very far-fetched definition, because how far can you allow for, or can you admit that the person is the right fit for the position? I know this sounds a bit idealistic at some point, but this is why you put in place procedures and recruitment and tests so that you can hire someone who's very close to what you're looking for in terms of competencies, in terms of skills, and in terms of attitude and values as well. So don't forget that talent attracts and follows talent. Talented people are demanding and strive for excellence. Talented people will challenge you. And especially since last year, I've had a feel when I'm recruiting, especially when it comes to companies that approach me for recruitment purposes, that they have an impression that because so many people lost their jobs because of COVID, that there are so many people in the job market. But I tell them, don't forget that the talented ones will find jobs very easily, and you can't necessarily bargain with them. And actually, it's not, they don't necessarily look at the salaries to be attracted. So that's why you have to pull in, I'll speak about that a bit later, a real employee value proposition to attract talent. Afterwards, we will speak about how to retain talent once you've attracted it. What is very important that I realized that from my experience, so out of recruitment assignments, some companies come to me, they just know they need to recruit people. They don't have a clue of recruiting people to do what exactly, how many people. Is only when I sit down with them and then I realize that they don't know what job exactly will the person be doing. how many people they need to recruit, and at some point, some don't even have the budget to recruit so-and-so skills. So that's why I say before even approaching someone, even if advertising a position, it's super important to do what we call in HR jargon, a job analysis. What it is it's simply a process of identifying and determining in detail particular job duties and requirements and the relevance of the duties for a given job. Because a lot of companies as well, what they do in terms of they get a new client or they get a new project and they're in firefighting mode. They just know they need one person, two people to do the job. They don't realize that you have to structure the position in a sense that it needs to be attractive. It needs to make sense, to have substance in the job in itself, and it needs to be able to play the part of impacting, of having a career plan as far as possible, so that the person knows I'm not only coming in for the job to help put in structures, and then what's next in 12 months, in 6 months. So that doesn't really look good when it comes to attracting people. That's why I say you will find people that will come because probably they're unemployed, they need a job and everything, and then they will leave. They will use your company as a platform to be able to bounce back. And I don't think you don't want that either. So that's why job analysis, we require a job analysis matrix. Simply, you can ask yourself these questions when you're structuring or tailoring a position. What will the employee do in terms of duties, tasks, responsibilities, which has to, of course, the person has to justify. On some markets, it's 40 hours a week, minimum legal requirement. In some it's more, in some it's less. So at least to be able to fulfill in terms of working hours, because talent doesn't like to be idle either. How will the employee do it? What methods, what tools, what techniques? For example, for a sales position, an outdoor sales position, you can't expect the person to take the bus. You need to cater in for a company car, for example. In terms of, I've heard candidates having awful experiences in companies saying that I came in the company, it took me 2 months to get a laptop because they didn't have any budget for that. So all these have to be done in parallel, especially for new positions, to make sure the equipment, the methods, the tools, the person that's going to plug into to show the on-job training will have time as well. This counts as how will the employee, how are you going to shadow the employee, accompany the employee in the first few months? We'll speak about onboarding afterwards. Why the employee, why does the employee do it? So make sure that in terms of products and services, it is clear, and especially in terms of qualifications, skills, knowledge, abilities, physical demands, and in terms of whether you can be flexible about it, or if you need a degree, a graduate who has a degree, if it's imperative, or there are times some jobs that require technical skills, for example, engineering, that comes to my mind very easily. So, or IT engineer, so you need to have an IT degree, or at times some people with an IT diploma and lots of experience can do the job as well. So you have to make sure that you bear in mind, what do you want? If it's clear in your head, what is the person going to do in a day, in a week? What are the deliverables on the job? That's also another thing, because some client companies that I work with, I need to sit down with them and work on the key performance indicators for the job, on the deliverables, because yes, they know the person has to come in and do this and do that, but how are they going to evaluate the person, whether the person is doing a good job or not? They don't know. They can't even tell, and that's not a good thing. So job analysis is very important. Sorry, for example, job analysis, this is all about the job description, to have the job descriptions. In some legal and jurisdictions, the job description is mandatory on the performance, on the employment contract. So that's why it's important to jot down this. Secondly, the recruitment process in itself. I tend to tell every time, it's super important to have an employer branding in place. That's why some companies, they invest so much in that. But don't worry, if you don't have the marketing budget to invest on making your company a sexy company, as you say, to attract on the market, because let's speak about companies like Google, like all the big shots on the market. They have solid recruitment branding, onboarding, so that the process speaks for itself, and the candidate that goes through the process can refer other candidates saying, I had such a pleasant experience, even if I didn't get the job, but it was like this and that. I felt like this and that. So that's very important in terms of having people talk about your brand as an employer. As I say, to attract the best, you have to be the best. You can't want to attract the best, even if you have the budget to attract the best, but your work environment is known, for example, on Glassdoor reviews to be the most toxic work environment ever in the history of employers, or that your pay grades are awful and things like that. Trust me, even on big markets, people just need to Google, and on LinkedIn, I've had some candidates who approach people in companies to say, hey, how is it like to work there? And if ever an employee says it's awful, don't come here ever. So that's not a good branding for you as an employer as well. So in terms of employee branding, what we're talking about is the proposition, the experience, the engagement of staff, talent, reputation, corporate identity, and communication. That's where as well some companies in some countries use corporate social responsibility, CSR, to get themselves known out there on the job market. That's why some go to job fairs, and some use social media platform as well to get their brand known out there. Because one more thing about employee branding is something that is more dangerous is, I know smaller companies, they shun on spending on employer branding because they will say it's more important for me to spend on my product, to spend on getting my product known, because this is what is going to bring me money. But they don't realize that to be able to sell this product, you need employees, you need human capital. And this is why, for example, someone who's working in a big company, I always tell the candidates, don't judge a book by its cover. It doesn't mean that when it's a big company that it's necessarily the best employer. You can have small and medium enterprises that offer a better employee experience. But again, if, for example, someone is already working in a medium-sized company and wants to go to work for a startup, but has never heard of the startup or isn't even excited about the proposal, the idea, what the startup is doing in terms of its activities, then it will become a problem to attract the best of the best in terms of talent. Let's move on to the next slide. Yes, so when we speak about recruitment process, branding your recruitment, so there are some key pointers. Make sure your recruitment and interviewing is the most memorable experience, because I have so many candidates that I interview that comment on my posts on LinkedIn that reveal to me that some recruitment, some interviews that they've been through, some have been traumatized. Some have had awful experiences, and just even if you will offer that employee, that candidate, a super package in terms, even more in terms of what they're earning, they will decline because of the gut feeling that they've had in that interview. And especially in terms of the hiring manager that they're going to work with, they'll really see what kind of person, what kind of vibe the person is having, so things like that. So make sure that, of course, we can't fake it. It has to be an authentic experience as well. So make sure the interviewing, the recruitment process is the most memorable one. Treat the candidate as they have never been treated before. Previously, I can't stress this enough. Respect is the key word here. You can't treat a candidate because they're asking for a job, even if they are unemployed, as if like they're low-grade citizens that really need you and your company. You have to respect everyone, their experience, what they've been through, and what they can bring on the table, and don't dismiss their experiences, because I know some hiring managers that I've seen how they conduct the interviews. They will be on the defensive. They will try to dispute or challenge. I'm not saying that challenging in terms of question, structured question is wrong. No, definitely you can have that, but you don't make the candidate feel as if you're invalidating their experience, their work experience. Give full preview of upcoming experience. Of course, if some candidates ask a lot of questions so that they know where they're heading to, but some are more shy, they won't ask necessarily. So that's why it's very important to explain the process how it's going to go about. As from here, you came for the first interview, what's next, and the time frame as to when they expect to close the position. Because, for example, I know some candidates, they went for an interview, they never got any offers or any rejection, and the employer comes back after 6 months to say, finally, we're coming up with a job offer. Are you still interested? Again, this doesn't give a good image on the employer, when especially it's not structured in terms of the recruitment process. Utilize your best fully engaged employees. I can't stress this enough again. Please use your ambassadors of the company, because if you will use the most disengaged employee to do an interview for you, it will naturally speak by itself that they won't necessarily project the best things to say about the company. Not necessarily that they're going to betray you or say things behind your back or anything like that, but you can tell a motivated employee from a disengaged one. So please use your best resources. Employer branding reflected on social media and employer reviews platforms. Yes, because Generation Z and multi-millennial generations now, whatever they do when they see a job posting, first thing, social media, Google, LinkedIn, even Facebook, some have Facebook pages, so see what they're posting, etc. So in terms of, I know some companies, they post about the activities that they do, their products, yes, but how is it like to be an employee in that organization? And they post a lot of things like that, and this is what attracts and reinforces your recruitment brand. And I've mentioned Glassdoor. I know you can't control Glassdoor, you can't do anything about it, but at least someone who's going to check Glassdoor, they will see, oh, there has been 10 over 10 bad reviews versus out of 10, 8 good reviews, 2 bad reviews, and which is more reasonable, because again, you can't satisfy everyone, you can't have 100% happy employees, but at least it's not like 100% or more than 50% dissatisfied employees on that. So employee branding, how do you go about it? Advertising, of course, sponsorship, word of mouth, this is the best one. I will speak about employee referral afterwards. Publicity. Employer brand knowledge is about functional job association, employer brand awareness, employer reputation, firm performance, external organizational attractiveness. The firm performance is very important as well, because I've had candidates, especially in finance position, in sales position, that after they do the first interviews, or even before the first interview, when I call them, what they do, the first thing is the financial statements for most of companies are online or public. So they check the sales figure, they check the profitability, because it's not just about having the employer brand. It's about seeing if year after year after year, if year after year after year, the company has been sorry about that. If year after year after year, the company has been experiencing bankruptcies or losses, and it doesn't reflect a bright future. So that's why it's going to be very difficult to attract talent in that sense. I'm not saying that you're not allowed to be, of course, some startups won't necessarily be profitable in the first year, but as long as you have vision, you have a good plan on, and you roll it out, you explain realistically to the employee what we're targeting, our sales target, our profit targets, and things like that. So I think it can be good in terms of attracting talent. The recruitment process and the employee value proposition. I've spoken to far many CEOs and far many hiring managers that always have a one-sided view when it comes to recruitment, unfortunately, because they say they're the ones who need a job. I don't need to market our companies or the jobs themselves. So why do we need an employee value proposition? They are getting a good salary. What do you need? They're getting medical, they're getting a private pension. Why do they need more? They have to be just happy to have a job. Not necessarily, because some companies who have had the employee value proposition framework have had more success rates in terms of attracting and retaining as well the talented candidates out there. So how do you develop an employee value proposition framework? It's a broad topic, but just in 2 words. So in terms of the people, so the employee, the human capitals itself, the more the senior management is available, is you have mentoring program, the more there's the term called camaraderie, in terms of people management, in terms of HR practices, HR structures, procedures that you have in place. The more it is transparent, the more it is it respects the employee, and it is transparent, and it is realistic as well. More often having open door policies to be able to discuss openly the issues and come up with solutions and not expect retaliation and things like that. So this will play in terms of the employee value proposition. Organization in terms of brand diversity, the customer prestige, the work in itself in terms of innovation, location, and this is what has been really, which came out since COVID-19 came into place since last year, especially having a lot of people work from home, is the work-life balance. Because I have so many employees that approach me, that call me, that say, working from home is really nice, but we haven't been able to strike a balance in terms of our work life because our bosses expect us to work more when we work from home. So having a proper framework in terms of new things that came up with COVID-19 is the work from home policies and procedure, the back to work, the rotation in terms of employees when it comes to the physical offices. So that's very important, for example, these days. Because trust me, no one is going to join a company, even if they're working at the maximum capacity where they are right now, and even if you're offering a super salary, but if they'll have to, you know, always be on the call 7/7, 24/7, they can't even have a social life, a private life, a family life. So this you have to work into play. And the more that you approach talented people that are up the ladder, that have of advance in the life, especially above 30 years old, the more you will have that requirement of respecting a work-life balance for employees. Opportunity in terms of career development. These questions come very often in recruitment exercises and interviews in terms of what's the succession planning for the position? How do I develop as from, I will join the company in this position, but how do I progress after that? And things like that. So I know most of companies don't have succession planning, don't have real career plans, but at least to be able to project in 2-3 years time, where do you see this position? Except if it's the position before the CEO one, where the CEO will have to leave. But at least you don't keep the employee floating in terms of expectations, say, we'll see, we'll tell you later, or things like that. But again, while doing so, it's important not to have false promises as well, and bring about as far as possible the most realistic expectations in terms of where that position will be heading in 1 year, 2 year, 3 years time. And to be honest, because some candidates are very thirsty, very hungry. Some candidates are more laid back and say, okay, I respect 2-3 years time is too little to be able to oversee where this position is heading. At least you're transparent with the candidates so that they know they're not going in a dead-end job, or they're leaving their exciting job now to be coming to your company to a dead-end job. Reward, of course, compensation, retirement, health, that depends on the person and their experience and whatever they're currently earning, because the more they're young, the more they value more compensation over retirement and health. But the more they approach the 30s, then retirement and health come into play. So you have to know your audience to be able to structure a value proposition. Recruitment procedure, yes, this is super important. Even if it's not a structured one, super defined one, at least you have something in place. You know, as soon as I advertise the position, what comes next, what first interview, shortlisting, reference check, morality check, second interview, testing, at least it follows something, and at least you have a timeline. By 1 month, 2 months, we will be able, 3 months, 4 months, we will be able to complete that. I've even worked in jobs where they were super strict, where you have KPIs, strict KPIs in terms of 90 days to close the position and things like that. And as HR professionals, you have to be able to say to your reporting line that, for example, if they need someone like now, or if they need someone in 1 week, 2 weeks, you need to be able to voice out that, you know, it's a process and it's not possible, and how many weeks you're expecting to close the position. Because the more skilled, the more structured the position is, it might take a longer time to be able to fill in. So a recruitment process in general, it starts with the sourcing, at least getting aligned, everybody, all the hiring panel are aligned on the position, the skills, the job description, the budget, and everything. Then normally the HR department or the recruitment department publishes in whatever sources they have, the internet, social media, job boards, newspapers, depending on the budget. Filtering, normally there are two ways of doing it. Normally the HR participates in the first rounds only, or some companies like doing 1 round with the HR and hiring managers, but it takes longer to get everybody's schedule on board. So that's why normally the HR does the first screening first and the second screening afterwards. Some hiring managers do it directly. Some companies have they reverse it. Some companies have the hiring manager do the first screening, and then the HR intervenes at last to be able to do the behavioral check, all the compliance checks, the interviews, and the final recruitment decision. Sourcing of candidates, some common practices. So this was the recruitment trends globally in 2019. So there's recruitment marketing, social media recruitment, automation tools, candidate relationship management, employer branding, inbound recruitment. So automation tools is, there are some people who apply on the websites of the companies. So there's already a pre-screening done on these websites. The bigger the companies, the more they have solid websites, which can have a back office for that. Candidate relationship management, at times it's candidates who have applied and the companies already have the database. So they park these candidates in a pool of candidates so that they know they can approach them when the time comes for these kind of positions. Employer branding, we touched that. Inbound recruitment, it's when people apply. Recruitment marketing, again, it can be through job fairs, like you're advertising, you're going out there to the job market to advertise the position. There's also walking interviews that are done. Social media recruitment, posting on all social media platforms and things like that. And that's about it for the sourcing of the candidates. There are some atypical sourcing that some can do, but these are the general ones and that generate the most success rates. I cannot